I think maybe the fact that he registered his website a considerable time before things even began to get difficult for Boris. But somebody was at a dinner party which took place at Boris Johnson's house, and it's a story I've recounted, and said how, how they had discussions about the future of the government, things they were going to announce, what they were going to do, and Rishi was there all day and playing with the children, and you'd have thought to have seen him. He was Boris Johnson's best friend and his biggest ally. Whereas 5 days earlier, he'd actually registered the Ready for Rishi website.
Let's talk about how your book and the events that you retell in it have a bearing on what's happening today, because there's clearly, obviously, no love lost between you and Rishi Sunak. Do you even have to admit, even you, that the reshuffle he carried out is quite smart?
Smart? Well, have you seen the polling that's just come out today? I think we've fallen. We're at the lowest point now we were as a result of the reshuffle in polling that's taken place since.
And is that all Rishi Sunak's fault?
When you say it's that Rishi Sunak's fault, Kathy, you can only blame the person who's the captain of the ship, because he takes the ultimate decisions. We know actually doesn't. It's these particular advisors around him. But, that's what happens when you become prime minister. You carry the can. I think we're 27 or 29 points behind today. We're looking at a wipeout. When this trust got to that point, they took her out and put someone out and put Rishi in.
Could you vote for the party as it currently is?
I've said I'll vote for the party. I might be able to do what many millions of Conservatives will do at the next election if it carries on like this. I might be just one of those people who decides that I can't vote Labour. I've paid too big a price for being a Conservative MP and not a Labour MP from my background. I've paid too heavy a personal and political price. So I can't vote Labour. I can't vote for any of the other parties. So I might be like, I'll do what many millions of Conservatives did. I may stay at home, but I don't know yet, because I don't know when the general election is going to be.
Right. David Cameron's in the House of Lords and you're not. How do you feel about that?
David Cameron stopped being Prime Minister, but David Cameron went to the EU, didn't come back with any concessions, held a divisive referendum, wrongly nailed the government's colours to the wrong mast, should never have done that, should have stayed impartial. When he lost, took his bat and ball home, spent 7 years in a shepherd's hut shooting stag on grouse moors, got himself in the tackiest lobbying scandal by trying to earn shed loads of money through the whole Greensill affair, and decides he wants to wash his reputation, and it's time to come back into Westminster. And a quick phone call is made to the King, and he pops into Foreign Secretary. That's what happens when you go to Eton.
Well, OK, but a lot of your colleagues are very pleased to see him back, because they see it as the return of competent, core conservative values that they think basically went out for a very long lunch during Boris Johnson, your reign in power.
So the colleagues who are happy to see David Cameron back are the Remain colleagues. Obviously, they're happy to see him back. And this is one of the reasons why I think the Conservative Party is almost ungovernable at the moment, and it's why it's heading to defeat, The poll rating for the Conservative Party is not going to be improved by the inclusion of David Cameron into the cabinet. I can tell you that, because there are so many MPs right at this moment thinking to themselves, how come he gets that job and I don't?
But could the party split? You're saying it's ungovernable. The picture you paint is of a party that is divided into very clear factions. Could it split, do you think?
No, the Conservative Party won't split. It will. It stands a. I wish it wasn't. I'd love it not to be, but I think it's going to fail. When you come from a background like mine, all you have is your vote. And in that vote lays the hope of everybody who isn't in that Westminster bubble. And when you vote for somebody, and you vote for someone like Boris Johnson, who gave an 80-seat majority, got a bigger percentage of the vote share than Tony Blair, biggest share of a generation in the Conservative Party. When you do that, when you're in a red wall street and you've always voted Labour, and then you go out and you vote for Boris Johnson, and a group of Conservative MPs decide they know better than you and they remove him, you're going to punish the Conservative Party. So power is supposed to flow from the people into number 10. And in this case, it hasn't. Rishi Sunak does not have the vote of the electorate or the support of the electorate. And I think we're seeing that in the polls that are coming through right now.
Nadine Dorries, thanks very much.
Thank you.